Hello. This video is for asking questions to officers. So I guess I'm starting to ask the harder questions, or ask questions to police officers. Now, a uniformed police officer cannot lie by any means whatsoever. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this is for research, so that I can totally understand, be more educated, and do my due diligence and that of my job as a citizen. Like I might have said on here before, I think that you should get paid as a citizen to making sure the police and the government do their job. Just going back to what I'm saying though, is that officers, as it's stated, it's your job to go out and learn the laws. Now, yes, there are some that are completely, utterly silly that I honestly think they should just be taken away, because it's yesterday being like sexist or whatnot, like the laws where you have to ask your husband to be able to cut your hair. Like, I know that probably law doesn't, like, nobody does it. It's just, it shouldn't be a law anymore. It should just be cleared up. It should be taken away. It just, as long as it doesn't get used, I guess, it doesn't necessarily, I don't know, there's a point where you can get totally in trouble just because of that law, and then it would go, you would have to fight it, go to the Supreme Court and stuff like that, and then you would have to get it changed or something like that. Okay. Okay. So question 1. Does an officer have to read their oath that they took in at the time of when they took at any time when you ask them? And if the police officer fails, so the second question, so if the police officer fails to cite that, if it is by required that they do state the oath, if they fail to state that oath by means of not having it on them, and better if they remember it, does that mean that, what does that mean in regards to me having to acknowledge that they are an actual police officer, that without them knowing that, or being able to recite that oath, then how accountable they are to do their job in regards of keeping you safe and upholding the law if they can't even follow that one? And does that mean that I have to be patient for someone to actually get to that oath, to tell me that oath? Okay, yes, there is a question like that. It's just, if an officer fails to cite a coordinates to any law, does that mean that I have a right to walk away from that officer at any time, because that officer failed to cite the ordinance, and so there's no probable cause because he doesn't know what he's talking about? He's just, essentially, he's making things up and harassing me, and so I don't feel like standing for that harassment, so I'm going to go to a different area. And how long, and I've also had this question where if you get called on somebody, you didn't go on somebody's property, then they have no right to call a police officer on you if you aren't harming yourself or something like that. I'm not quite clear on that. One of the questions I should ask they can't call the police on you. So if you're walking in the middle of the street and and there's no cars coming, and you're walking and they call the police on you, the police officers have no right to talk to you or talk to you at all or harass you at all, because you didn't break any laws. Now, that's what an officer said, because officers, they see the gray area. You have to give them the exact scenario to be able to say it. Because there was one time that I literally was walking in the middle of the street, and it wasn't like I was walking down the middle of the street. I was crossing the street. It was late at night. There was nobody coming. I mean, legitly, I was standing there for like maybe I don't know how long, 7 minutes or something like that, because I was like, okay, I want to cross the street. Okay, wait, well, which direction do I want to go? Because I was just kind of like go with the flow of life or whatever and see where it takes me and stuff like that. And so there was no right for those officers to come and stop me and even come and talk to me at all. What is your rights when it comes to dancing at 4th of July and you just showed up and you started dancing? What is the officer what are the officer's rights to tell you to come with them and you leave the premises if you're just dancing, even though somebody else says you're dancing weird? What's the amount of, basically, to be put on the pedophile list? How much does somebody have to see of your area to have to be okay to be put on that list? What do officers talk about after they get done with you? Like when they go meet back up with their cars. What are they doing? What kind of, are they collaborating the stories of what's going on? Getting one story, or what's exactly the protocol for doing that? And all that kind of stuff, to moving on to the next thing. How far off the property when the door leads to the sidewalk? Is it the sidewalk to the property, so you don't trespass? What are my rights to protect myself in my house when somebody's trying to hurt me? What are my rights if the officers get called, or the officer or anybody thinks that I'm hurting myself and I'm not? What are my rights to not be harassed or fight against the whole fake or false filing, or what it's called? I'm not sure. Those are just some of my questions that I thought I would start posting videos of the questions that I have, because there's a point where it's your job to make sure those officers are doing their job. And if you're more knowledgeable, you're more able to be calm and collected and be able to, well, maybe, at least be able to stand up for your rights when they're abusing their right, and you can say, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to be okay with this interaction. You are not in the right regards, and I need somebody else that actually is going to do the job the right way. You need to go, so that makes room for other officers that are going to do their job to get their job, so that those officers can get promoted into being sergeants, so that they can actually uphold everything. It's just, know your rights, stand up for your rights, and do it in a calm, presentable way. So, because your character, even though it's that 1% of your character is being seen by those police officers, 80% is pretty much 100% of what your character is, unless you can get a character witness and all that kind of stuff. Still, if you're more calm about it and cool and collected, you can get more of a message and get the answer that you want.